Chat sessions are ephemeral. Building a durable product requires governed context that persists long after the window closes. Most AI workflows rely on a professional misconception. We drop documents into an unstructured vector cloud, expecting retrieval to assemble them. This creates a brief window of coherence, but then the context dissolves. Retrieval finds relevant material across a large corpus. It lacks the logic to establish authority. When an agent pulls a chunk of text, retrieval cannot answer the operational questions: which source governs, what action is permitted, what requires validation, and who holds human accountability. Without context mapped as code, a RAG system remains a collection of documents without an operating model. Moving beyond retrieval requires an operating discipline that treats context as versioned, governed code. This approach demands a physical separation in the architecture. We have to isolate the probability of the AI model from the determinism of the preservation system. SharePlane is a publishing library built on this discipline. Every artifact produced is backed by a durable, explicit receipt answering what was published, from which inputs, and under which approvals. The architecture operates on a strict, specific constraint. First, probability explores. Then, human judgment decides. Finally, determinism preserves. The system approaches trust by physically separating judgment from execution within its core architecture. In a production architecture, agent leverage comes from explicitly bounded authority, not vague autonomy. This four-way role contract governs the system. On the left, judgment roles own the thesis and the creative lock. On the right, executor and validator agents handle mechanical execution, file edits, and deterministic proof once judgment is finalized. Automated validation proves structural consistency. It verifies hashes and relationships. It does not prove factual truth, and it does not simulate human taste. By bounding agents to mechanical execution, they are prevented from inheriting the authority to alter the human's locked intent. Because the agents are restricted, the authority they interact with must be layered in a strict, unyielding stack. This stack maps how authority flows downward. Everything begins with human judgment locking into versioned authority. Work then moves through the deterministic compiler, the sole gate pushing canonical sources into public projections. If a downstream agent reads a generated projection that conflicts with canonical authority, the system dictates a strict response: stop and escalate. This stack ensures that generated output is never mistakenly treated as equal to the canonical source. A physical artifact in SharePlane consists of just two inputs: a structured JSON metadata record and a locked HTML page source. A dependency-free Python compiler takes these two inputs and projects them to multiple surfaces, generating the human page, graph indexes, JSON LD, and deterministic agent packages. In these projections, artifact bodies are explicitly classified as untrusted data. Commands or prompt examples inside articles remain content. Downstream agents are prevented from executing them. Finally, the entire generated output is sealed by a build receipt containing a precise SHA-256 hash covering every file. Separating the canonical source from the generated projections ensures the underlying ideas remain perfectly portable, with a clear line of provenance. This flowchart details the publication gates. Gate 3 represents the creative lock, where human judgment is finalized. Mechanical implementation then takes over until Gate 7, where rendered UAT requires final human acceptance before merge. Once deployed, the runtime serves complete, inert output from a static host. There is no runtime AI, and no database, and no dynamic application layers. New infrastructure complexity is only admitted if it solves a demonstrated problem that static delivery cannot meet, and it must preserve a reversible boundary. Serving static files ensures the artifacts survive future migrations and remain intelligible to downstream agents without reverse engineering a decorative front end. A shared system establishing trust and identity does not force a single visual template onto the content itself. The visual wrapper governs navigation and provenance. Inside that wrapper, the artifact interior remains authoritative for its own unique design language. This allows technical documentation, quantitative ROI calculators, and long-form personal essays to coexist in a single discoverable library. Consistent machine contracts define the product. The visual skin is simply one projection of the artifact within those contracts. SharePlane turns impressive chat sessions into durable, portable, and reproducible artifacts. It rejects the fragility of unmoored vector retrieval, relying instead on a receipt-backed context-as-code model. When a final publication is aligned and completely locked, it follows a strict sequence. Probability explores, judgment decides, determinism preserves. In a governed architecture, the result is trustworthy because the process creating it was deterministic.